Welcome to the Cenario podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again, taking that stack of research. You've got articles, trials, expert notes, and boiling it all down. Getting to what really matters, what you can actually use. And if you've ever felt that mental fog creeping in, walked into a room and just completely blanked on why, or maybe, pulling up a name takes that extra second, yeah, you're definitely not alone. This whole drive to stay sharp, to fight back against, our brains naturally slowing down a bit, it's huge. It fuels this multi-billion-dollar memory supplement industry, doesn't it? Everyone's looking for that quick fix for maybe one of our biggest worries. So our mission today, it's pretty straightforward, but really important. We've waded through all the marketing claims to give you an evidence-based map. We're looking at what the clinical trials really say about these supplements. We're flagging the biggest risks. And maybe most importantly, we're telling you what the experts actually recommend doing instead.
Right. And that kind of deep dive, it's absolutely crucial for you, the listener. Because yes, cognitive decline with age is a natural concern. It happens. But the market is just flooded, absolutely saturated with products promising the world, often with little or zero benefit. And sometimes they can even cause real harm. We've got to get past the anecdotes, the slick ads. We need to understand not just what might work, but also the safety side, the regulations or lack thereof, which often gets totally ignored.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning then. Lay the groundwork. Our sources were clear. The slowing down, it's real, it's physiological. Why does our brain speed seem to dip as we get older?
Well, fundamentally, it's neurobiology. As we age, the connections between our brain cells, the neurons, they just become a bit less efficient. Simple as that, really. Our sources confirm this. It leads to those common things: processing information a bit slower, maybe taking longer to recall specifics like names or dates, and just needing more time, to really lock in new information. It's not usually severe impairment we're talking about initially, but definitely a drop in that mental quickness.
Okay, and before we even touch on pills or supplements, the experts we looked at, they hammered home one point. There's a proven defense that really beats any supplement out there right now. What's that absolute fundamental step?
It is, without a doubt, a healthy lifestyle. If you sip through all the research on protecting cognitive function long term, the consensus is just overwhelming. Regular exercise, getting enough good quality sleep, and a healthy diet. Specifically, one that's rich in those leafy, green, plant-based foods. That's the bedrock.
But let's be real here. If someone offered a pill that promised even, say, half the benefit of going for a run, well, most people would probably pop the pill, wouldn't they? Why are these basic habits, exercise, diet, sleep, so much more effective than what's promised in a capsule?
Because those lifestyle changes, especially exercise, they actively boost neuroplasticity. That's the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself, form new connections. Supplements, they might tweak a chemical level maybe, but physical activity, good nutrition, they're literally repairing and maintaining the brain's physical structure. They protect the cells, improve blood flow. It's systemic. You just can't buy that level of deep infrastructure defense in a bottle. It doesn't work like that.
That really sets the stage.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack the supplements themselves now. The ingredients that pop up again and again. These are the ones that show some promise in studies, but like you said, usually with big caveats, mixed results. Let's start with omega-3s, fish oil.
Right. Omega-3 fatty acids, especially DHA and EPA, they're crucial building blocks for our brain cell membranes. Very important. And they're known for their anti-inflammatory properties, their structural role. So the theory makes sense. Protect the cells, you protect memory.
So why aren't they a guaranteed fix then, if the theory is solid?
Because the actual science, the results from trials, are incredibly inconsistent. You'll see some studies showing potential benefits, yes, particularly in older adults, maybe who already have some mild cognitive issues or a known omega-3 deficiency. But for a generally healthy adult, the research on memory improvement is often, nothing significant. And part of the problem is just the variability, the source of the fish oil, the purity, the dose, the person's own health baseline. It all affects the outcome, so you really can't just label them a universal memory booster. It's not that simple.
And here's that crucial warning that came up in almost every source we looked at for omega-3s, and for our next one too, ginkgo biloba. They both carry a serious risk of interacting with other medications.
Yes, that's absolutely critical, and something the marketing definitely doesn't highlight. High doses of omega-3s can interfere, sometimes dangerously, with blood thinners, like warfarin, for example. It increases the risk of bleeding. And this isn't some minor side effect. It's a major medical concern. You absolutely must talk to your doctor if you're on any kind of anticoagulant medication before even thinking about high-dose fish oil.
And that risk seems even more pronounced when we look at ginkgo biloba, another really popular one. Its main supposed benefit is kind of also its main risk, right?
Exactly. Ginkgo is thought to work by increasing blood flow to the brain's cerebral blood flow. The idea is that helps memory and focus. But the problem is twofold. First, just like omega-3s, the evidence for memory benefit, it's really mixed. Some studies say yes, others say no. Second, and this echoes the omega-3 warning, ginkgo itself acts as a blood thinner. So if you're already taking warfarin or aspirin or any other anticoagulant, combining them, potentially very dangerous, serious bleeding risk again.
Okay, moving on. What about something less famous, like phosphatidylserine? That one sounds interesting. It's a type of fat, a lipid, that's actually in our brain cells, helping them talk to each other.
You can think of it like a key lubricant for brain cell communication, keeps things running smoothly between neurons. There are some small studies, suggestive ones, indicating it might improve memory scores, particularly in folks with what's called age-associated memory impairment. However, the amount of research, the scale of the trials, it's just not there yet. Not sufficient for a strong recommendation. It's still in that promising but needs way more research category.
Got it. And finally, in this sort of maybe category, two plant-based options that are really trendy right now. Ashwagandha and lion's mane mushroom, often sold as nootropics.
Yes, the adaptogens in functional mushrooms. Look, the current science suggests their strongest potential might be in managing stress, which, indirectly helps focus and memory, ashwagandha especially. But if we're looking for direct, measurable memory improvement proven in large, well-designed trials, the data just isn't solid yet for either ashwagandha or lion's mane. You might see small studies showing some short-term benefits, maybe focus, maybe stress reduction, but long-term sustained cognitive protection. That's not backed by strong clinical evidence yet. We really need those bigger, longer trials before making any big claims. Judgment reserved for now.
Okay, so that covers the mixed bag. Now let's shift gears. Let's talk about that huge ocean of products out there that just don't have consistent scientific support. This is where the hype really seems to crash against the wall of actual science.
It really does. Our sources pretty quickly dismissed a whole lot of popular ingredients you see advertised. For instance, vitamin D and vitamin E, they often show up in these memory formulas. But big trials haven't shown they consistently boost cognitive function in healthy people. And then there's a list of others where the evidence is weak or just non-existent in rigorous studies. Coenzyme Q10, L-theanine, huperzine A, apoequarin, that's the ingredient in Prevagen, and various coffee extracts too. The marketing might be loud, but the scientific backing, it's just not there. Very thin.
Which brings us to, honestly, a major surprise that popped up in the research. Something that kind of flies in the face of what a lot of people might assume about basic nutrition. We're talking about the humble multivitamin. The Cosmos trial findings were pretty interesting, weren't they?
Yeah, this was a big deviation from all the other mostly negative or mixed results we just talked about. The Cosmos trial, that stands for Cocoa Supplement and Multivitamin Outcome Study. It's one of the largest, most rigorous studies of its type. They followed thousands of older adults for several years looking at daily multivitamin use.
And what did they actually find?
They found that taking a daily multivitamin might is important to slow down memory loss in older adults by roughly 2 to 3 years compared to placebo. Now, that's a potentially significant delay in the rate of cognitive decline, especially, it seemed, for people who also had existing heart conditions, cardiovascular issues. It suggests that maybe correcting underlying, possibly minor nutrient deficiencies could play a protective role for the brain.
That's really fascinating. A general supplement potentially doing more than a targeted one. But what's the big question mark still hanging over this, the scientific unknown?
Well, the ambiguity is key. Because they used a standard, off-the-shelf multivitamin, we don't currently know which specific vitamin or mineral, or maybe combination, is responsible for that benefit. Is it the B vitamins?
Yeah.
Zinc? Vitamin D playing a role, after all, in that context. We just don't know the mechanism yet. And it's important to stress, the studies were clear. The multivitamin did not help people who already had severe memory loss or dementia, but for just helping maintain cognitive function during healthy aging. It was a surprisingly strong finding. Still needs more research to pin down the why, though.
Okay, this naturally leads us into what might be the most critical and maybe sobering part of this deep dive.
Yeah.
The whole regulatory situation in the U.S. Because these memory products, they exist in this kind of dangerous gray zone, don't they?
They absolutely do. And this is the fundamental difference between a supplement and a prescription drug that every listener needs to grasp. It's huge. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, they regulate prescription drugs for safety and effectiveness before they're allowed to be sold. Rigorous testing.
And for supplements.
For supplements, the FDA does not approve them for safety or effectiveness before they hit the market. The responsibility lies almost entirely with the manufacturer to make sure their product is safe. The FDA generally only steps in after a problem happens, after people report side effects, or if testing finds contaminants, or if a company makes illegal claims. It's reactive, not proactive.
Wow. So when you pick up a bottle of Memory Supplement X, you're basically buying something where the claims haven't been independently verified beforehand, almost like an experiment. What does that mean for you, the consumer, in practical terms?
It means you're facing risks on several fronts. First, what's on the label might not actually be in the bottle, or not in the amount claimed. Quality control can be an issue. Second, the product could be contaminated with something else entirely, other ingredients, maybe even harmful substances. It happens. Third, and this is the really dangerous one we keep circling back to, the supplement could interact badly with medications you rely on. Again, think about those blood thinners. It's a major, major concern.
And this isn't just theoretical hand-wringing, is it? There have been actual legal battles over these kinds of unproven claims.
Oh, absolutely. The makers of Prevagen, for example, faced major legal action from the FTC and state attorneys general precisely because they were accused of making memory improvement claims that weren't backed by solid science. And this just reinforces the advice you hear consistently from experts at places like Harvard, the Mayo Clinic. When the FDA hasn't vetted it first, you, the consumer, have to be incredibly cautious, really scrutinize things.
Okay, so if the science on most specific supplements is shaky at best, or even negative, and the regulation is so lax, what is the clear expert consensus? What's the most effective, the proven way to protect our cognitive function as we age? What's the actual blueprint?
The blueprint circles right back to where we started, that foundation. But it's worth hammering home because this is what has the strongest backing from decades of research. It really boils down to a 5-point list of proven healthy habits. Things you do. First, regular aerobic exercise. Get your heart rate up. This is probably the single most powerful tool for brain health and blood flow. Second, stick to that plant-heavy, leafy green diet. Think Mediterranean style, lots of antioxidants. Third, stay mentally active and socially engaged. Keep learning new things, challenge your brain, connect with people, don't become isolated. Fourth, manage your cardiovascular health. Keep blood pressure and cholesterol in check. What's good for the heart is definitely good for the brain. The connection is undeniable. And fifth, prioritize sleep. Consistent, high-quality sleep is when your brain does its crucial maintenance work. Don't skimp on it.
Wow. It really sounds like the main takeaway after cutting through all that marketing noise is, well, the things that are often free, maybe harder to do consistently, but proven. Those lifestyle changes, they pack way more punch than pretty much anything you can currently buy in a bottle. Okay, so let's recap this deep dive. We found that some supplements, omega-3s, ginkgo, maybe phosphatidylserine, show some mixed, often small potential benefits, especially for older adults perhaps with existing issues. But the risks are significant, especially those dangerous interactions with blood thinners. And the complete lack of FDA pre-market approval means you really need to be critical. Buyer beware, big time. The one potential bright spot maybe was a basic daily multivitamin. That Cosmos trial suggested it might slow cognitive decline by a couple of years in older adults. Still needs more research, though.
Exactly. So our final advice is really about taking a critical, balanced view. Do the hard yards first. Focus on that 5-point blueprint of proven healthy habits. That's your best bet. Always check with your doctor before adding any supplement, especially if you take other medications. And if you do consider a supplement, look for ones backed by solid, large-scale clinical trials, not just hype or a friend's anecdote. Be informed.
And that brings us to our final thought for you to chew on this week. Since the expert recommended path involves managing blood pressure, cholesterol, eating specific foods, exercising regularly, all things you actively do, and since the scientific benefit of just swallowing specific chemicals in supplement form seems so ambiguous for most people, what do you think stands out as the single biggest influence on your long-term cognitive health? Is it more about the chemical components we consume, or is it more about the physical actions we perform? Think about that. We'll get you on the next Deep Dive.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.